have to just quickly cut you off. There's nothing to ruin.
Really?
Like it's so crazy to
This just gotten out of hand. This is all bullshit.
Oh! Like I feel like I'm in a game of fucking werewolf or mafia where I'm like, I'm not the werewolf.
No, that's hard.
Yeah, Tom Holland has teased that there are 3 generations of Spider-Man coming to the screen.
I'm quite nervous, actually.
I want to, there's a photo going around on the internet of you and Tobey Maguire on the set of Spider-Man.
Bro, do it, my guy.
Wow.
I heard about it. And I did see it. And it's a Photoshop.
Everybody's saying you may be in it. There's a cameo. Why don't you just go ahead and confirm?
Go ahead.
Whoa!
I'm not in the film. I love Spider-Man. I always have. I was so happy to have played the part.
Oh my goodness. We got that.
This is the unequivocal yes/no answer.
I did not get a call.
Woo! People are gonna go crazy when they see that bit. Oh my goodness.
I don't believe you, Andrew Garfield. I do not believe Andrew Garfield is not in this movie. He's definitely signed an insane ironclad contract with both Sony and Marvel. Kevin Feige's probably been holding onto his dog for the past 16 months. You can't blame him. Also, Maguire shouldn't be getting off so easily. He just hasn't been doing interviews. Andrew Garfield has been backpedaling his way out of conversations all year, promoting multiple properties. And Tobey Maguire has just been sitting pretty, not having appeared in a movie since narrator in Boss Baby 2017. Well, look, while we're here, we may as well watch some of that promotional material.
He's like a little boss baby, like a little man who's got an agenda and running stuff.
Wow, can't fake that kind of enthusiasm. Anyways, we're doing a classic breakdown for Spider-Man No Way Home Trailer 2. All the Easter eggs and references you can possibly imagine. We'll be covering each villain individually, the timeline concerning them, why Peter Parker is rescuing them, the new suit, Doctor Strange's role, the other Spider-Men and their role in this movie, some very clear hints towards them actually being in this movie, why they aren't using the other Spider-Men in the marketing, and more. Time codes are also in the description, and if you could leave one of those famous YouTube thumbs up that I've just been hearing so much about, that'd be terrific. All right, let's kick things off with the villains, starting with Doc Ock. Now, what's interesting is he looks about the same age as he was when he disappeared. Alfred Molina has talked about how he has been de-aged for this movie, and we're going to get into why that might be the case in a moment. I should have pointed this out on my last trailer breakdown, but you can see that each of the arms has the red dot in the middle, which if you remember Spider-Man 2 is an indication that the arms have taken over and making him do all sorts of evil stuff. What I think is happening in this on the bridge scene is that Doc Ock tears the arms off the Iron Spider suit and then pulls off some of the Stark tech and integrates it with his own. And you can see that what's left of the suit on Peter Parker is struggling to cover him. You see the moment where the whole thing shifts from his head to his torso when it's revealed to Doc Ock that, hey, this isn't your grandma's Peter Parker. This isn't you, Peter Parker. In the MCU, that's been a clear design flaw of the nanobot suit. We saw a similar thing when Tony Stark fought Thanos. He fixes it in a later suit, but he didn't for Peter Parker because he died. Spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame. Except we got Electro. Now this, of course, is a Jamie Foxx version. I say a because he certainly doesn't look to be the same version from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He could be. This could just be an evolution of the character, or he could be from an entirely different dimension. Of course, he's yellow instead of blue. He's got more of that classic Electro look. And when he's actually in Jamie Foxx mode, he looks more like an actual normal person and not a cartoon nerd brought to life. Seeing as each of these villains is from an existing Spider-Man universe, if I had to guess, I would say this is the same Electro, but he's just shifted in appearance and abilities over time. You see he's covered in some sort of tech. Maybe he's got a new handle on his powers. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I haven't seen this movie yet. I haven't seen it. There's also a moment where you see him zapping Doc Ock, and maybe this is because Dr. Octopus actually turns good at one point, as we saw in the 2004 movie. Yeah, when he does get control of the arms again, he's a pretty good dude for the most part. And by that I mean he was okay with drowning the sun or whatever happened in that movie. Green Goblin though. This one is a fairly consistent design with the Raimi films. There's definitely some subtle changes there, but we also see later in the trailer where he shows up again and he's got no helmet. There's been speculation running rampant. Is this classic Spider-Man character New Goblin? No, this is not the case. You might have seen some designs that have leaked for a slightly updated version of the Willem Dafoe Green Goblin. That's all I think is going on here. I'd love to get a good look at him under the mask as well to see if he's been de-aged properly. There has been some leaked images of him, but Willem Dafoe looks like mostly consistent over the years, so it's pretty hard to tell. But if I had to guess, I would say they probably aged him down slightly. We also get Sandman. Now it's interesting that he's again fighting Peter Parker, because back in Spider-Man 3, they made their peace and off he went or whatever. I wonder whether they kept on fighting in that universe. Or maybe he was grabbed out of time at the point where he was still very much an enemy of Spider-Man. There are rumors, of course, that Thomas Hayden Church is back in the role. If he is, I imagine he just spent a lot of time in a recording booth doing all the screams that go into the big Sandman monster and not appearing in human form. Don't get me wrong, we'll almost definitely see him in human form, but you know, it's mostly going to be a sand monster screaming, I'd imagine. Then we got the Lizard. Now, unlike Electro, this seems to be pretty much exactly the same design from The Amazing Spider-Man. And there is something about the character of the Lizard that hints at either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield being in this movie, but we'll come back to that. I've also seen a bunch of speculation that they've accidentally left snippets of the other Spider-Man in the trailer. Like at this moment on the left, it sort of looks like it could be an arm holding a Spider-Man mask. Really though, this could be anything. This is harder to decipher than that Bigfoot footage if you were staring at it through the reflection in a dirty puddle. So all in all, if you count up all the villains that we've seen, we've got Doc Ock, Electro, Green Goblin, Sandman, Lizard. That makes a sinister 5. That classic combination of villains. I think there actually might be one more villain, which we'll also come back to, because I do want to talk about the new suit that Peter Parker's in. This clearly has been gifted to him by Doctor Strange, the idea being that he's going to round up all these villains. Those magic web shooters, I'd imagine, might be designed to imprison the other villains. And what's mentioned in this trailer is that each of these villains have been pulled out of their dimensions and timelines, at potentially around the point they were supposed to die, and that they all died fighting Spider-Man, or more likely, because you can't have Spider-Man pretty much outright kill villains. I mean, he has done it. Remember that time he exploded that 70s show? But you know, more often than not, they kill themselves. But the Tom Holland version of Peter Parker, he wants to save them. So he steals that box, which it seems as if is some kind of TARDIS-esque prison where all the villains are kept. You know, it's a bigger on the inside kind of situation. And I think maybe as a result of stealing it, maybe they get out. It creates a bigger problem, and so forth. Now, we've seen that Doctor Strange has featured prominently in the marketing for this, including this latest poster. I don't think he's going to be around, though, for a lot of this. Action-wise, at least. Because he's on a completely different level to the villains appearing in this movie. As with all superhero movies, the hero and villain have to be equally matched, because otherwise one would squash the other one's head like a grape. What could the likes of Willem Dafoe Green Goblin do against Doctor Strange?
Stop! Stop!
Nothing! He'd be decapitated by a portal. There are exceptions like Superman and Lex Luthor, but he matches him in terms of intellect. You understand, I'm pretty sure. And look, if you really want to ramp up the tension in the movie, what you have to do is have your villain be slightly more powerful than the hero, or even have multiple villains. And then in order to conquer his enemies, the protagonist must find the courage within. Or they pick up a pipe or something, and then the tide of battle is turned. So basically what I'm saying is I think that's why they've been using Doctor Strange in so much of this material, because up until this point, he's been one of the few characters that Sony and Marvel have been able to market openly. Still, it looks like, you know, he's going to be getting a fight scene and a bit of a chase with Peter Parker. I like the moment where it looks as if Peter Parker's trying to get away and the two portals mean that he webs himself in midair. That's fun. But there's also the bit in the trailer where Doctor Strange is like, there's too much power or something, everybody's coming through a portal. And I'd reckon this is probably the bit where, you know, he's nerfed. He's taken out of the movie. He's been Professor X'd. That concept being that in all the X-Men movies, they have to incapacitate Professor X because otherwise he'd just solve everybody's problems all the time. Now, I think what's also very interesting about this trailer is what we did not see. Namely, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Now, there's a very interesting moment in the Brazilian version of this trailer. It's not in all versions, where you see Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard jumping towards one Spider-Man. But in that version I'm talking about, you see the Lizard just get absolutely thumped by nothing in midair, which to me indicates, and thank you to Lawrence who is editing this, for sending this over, that one of the other Spider-Men kicks him in the head. This whole sequence as well with the scaffolding, it looks very similar to that leaked footage of Andrew Garfield we saw from a while back. Again, confirming that he's a liar and he's definitely in it. I mean, it's not his fault he's a liar. Again, Kevin Feige's got his dog or whatever. I just think also, you're not going to put all these villains in from other dimensions and then not include the Spider-Man. It absolutely doesn't make any sense. But again, I want to talk about why they're not in the marketing in a minute. Because we also don't see Daredevil, who's pretty much confirmed to be in this, or at the very least, Matt Murdock. There's also a nod to the death of Gwen Stacy, this moment where MJ is falling, and it looks like that Peter Parker might not catch her. This would probably be a very poetic moment for Andrew Garfield to enter the movie, catching her, kind of redeeming himself for that time that he didn't catch Gwen Stacy, and she was like, BAM! I'm dead! You didn't catch me and I'm dead! And then from there, you know, it leads into the big scaffolding fight with all the villains or whatever. Also, in terms of the sixth villain, I would say, and who knows if this is actually going to be the case, that Venom will be making an appearance. From the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credits, he also seems to skip over into this dimension. Now, he might only make, say, a tiny appearance, perhaps again in the post-credits, or, you know, a very small cameo. But I think the idea here would be to set up like a Venom Spider-Man rivalry movie, maybe even hint towards doing the black suit again, you know, stuff like that. Now let's do some miscellaneous stuff, eh? The number plate of the car being thrown at Peter says ASM, as in Amazing Spider-Man. Thank you, incredible catch. These trailer breakdowns, they're a real art, I'll tell you that much. Of course, we do get the appearance of J. Jonah Jameson. Not the version I'd imagine from the Raimi universe, but the one that we did see at the end of Far From Home. There's also a Daily Bugle van scene, along with a Spectrum news van, which is one of the official in-universe news networks of the MCU. We see vans with DODC on the side, which stands for Department of Damage Control, which is the company funded by Tony Stark, which in turn meant Adrian Toomes lost his contract, which led to the creation of the Vulture. Is the Vulture going to be in this also? I don't know, sure, why not? And of course, we also get very brief appearances from both Aunt May and Happy Hogan. Here's a question though, why are they hiding the other Spider-Man in the marketing material? I mean, at this point, it's like the worst kept secret, and reveals of them are probably going to continue to be leaked leading up to the release of this movie. And really all they're doing is continually backing Andrew Garfield into a corner, slowly chipping away at his credibility as a human being. No one's ever going to believe a single thing he ever says for the rest of his life. Well, the rumor is though that Sony want to show them in the trailers, and Marvel does not. Now, ultimately, because Sony are distributing this movie, it is their decision, but I guess they decided to go with Marvel's idea. I don't think it's going to hurt ticket sales in the slightest. This could very well be the first movie post-pandemic to crack $1 billion at the box office. And to be honest, I don't mind waiting till it comes to cinemas to see them. It makes no difference to me either way. It'd probably be a pretty good reveal if they leave it at that. Again, at this point, we know they're in it. Do we really need to see it in the trailers? Anybody who's interested in this movie is going to see it regardless. So why spoil it, I guess? Now, every now and then also, I get comments saying, James, you make amazing videos that cannot be doubted. And that is true, but people need to also remember that that is the result of the amazing editing team I have behind me. This isn't a one-man show. Something of this incredible quality could not be just a single person. And then the comments go on to say, there has never been any official word from Marvel or Sony that Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire are in this movie. And that is absolutely true. So I guess at the end of the day, if they don't end up being in it, which will 100% not be the case, you can't really blame Sony or Marvel, because they never said that they were. We only have ourselves to blame, but at the same time, they're definitely in it, and don't even worry about it. As for the release date, luckily there has been no movement on that, and the majority of countries are going to be getting this around December 16th. There was one rumor that said a while back that this was going to be delayed due to the insane amount of special effects. Not the case, it seems, however. In fact, it's even been moved up a couple of days in the UK to December 15th. And even though box office numbers aren't what they were, say, 2 years ago, they are steadily on the rise. So things are looking good, I think. Now, there's obviously a lot going on in this movie. The trailer only showing a fraction of this 2 hour and 49-minute movie. There's actually going to be a follow-up video to this also if you have any questions or theories, big or small. Stuff that's way out there, or stuff that's, you know, pretty bog standard. Whatever it is, please feel free to leave it below, and I'm going to get to as many as I can in the next video. And speaking of the next thing, I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet where we talk movies and comics and TV shows that comes out on iTunes, Spotify. It's got its own YouTube channel. It's on a bunch of platforms. In the tradition of The Amazing Spider-Man, just Bing it. Anyways, we're going to be getting more into this trailer on our episode this Monday. But if you do want to sign up for our service over at bigsandwich.co, it actually goes up a day early on Sunday, and there's a huge back catalogue of stuff there, including movie commentaries, bonus podcasts, early videos like Caravan of Garbage go up there, and the like. Anyways, thanks for watching this all the way through, or at the very least, allowing it to play to the end whilst you half pay attention while you're folding laundry or something. Regardless, I very much appreciate it. Have a good one. Take care.